Welcome back, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolfe, and this is part 2 of Rotten to the Core, Holy Crap, Your Holy Grail. So today we're going to be taking a journey through the large intestine. Isn't it funny? Well, it's not so funny, but how the large intestine does not get the respect that it deserves. It is the organ that is most powerful in the human body. I know you think it's the brain. Well, yes, on an emotional and psychological level, we need to master the belief systems and the thoughts in our brain, okay? In the subconscious part of the brain. And I know that the brain is also responsible for just running programs, and it's a chemist dumping different hormones and chemicals depending on your thoughts, depending on your images, so you better have some good ones. But the reality is that as far as organs go, the large intestine is, okay, the master organ of the body if you want health. The heart is infinite, the heart knows all, but the large intestine, which I will show you today, is responsible, okay, for how well your health is going to be. And right now, we know that most people are rotting from the inside out. You know, it's funny, isn't it? But you can say, well, you should wear, no, I don't smell. My armpits don't smell. My bowel movements don't smell. My breath doesn't smell. So I don't need to do mouthwash to try to kill the bad bacteria that is actually coming up from the hot air rising off of a manure pile sitting in my lower pelvic. I don't have smelly armpits because I'm not backing up the waste and stopping my lymph system from dumping toxic waste into the large intestine to actually eliminate from my body. A lot of people do not realize that the smell under their arms smells like their bum. The smell that comes from their mouth smells like their bum. And that's the truth. You know, you ever roll over to give someone a kiss and go, oh my gosh, please go brush your teeth. I don't know what happened. Did somebody just poop in your mouth? You wouldn't say that. But little do you know, okay, is that hot air rises. And people with halitosis and people that have smelly armpits, people that have a smelly stool, okay, they have lots going on. Most autoimmune diseases, most symptoms that you do not like that are negative, all begin in the large intestine. Life and death begin in the large intestine. One of the biggest problems that we're facing today is we sterilize everything outside, and especially after COVID. Oh, you can't pump that bacterial soap enough because we've all gone psychotic. You can't scrub hard enough with antibacterial soap under your arms and your groin and everywhere else, or sterilizing everything in your house. We're germophobic right now. And understand something, germs are actually normal. Germs are our friend. Bacteria is our friend. You can say germs aren't our friend, but guess what? Germs keep us strong. You know, you go ahead and annihilate all the germs in your world, okay? And just keep doing it. And you will have a home the same as a hospital. The sickest place you'll ever visit is a hospital because they sterilize everything. And the bacteria that actually live in a hospital are the strongest, most dangerous bacteria that are on the floor, on the cupboards, in the air. Whether you want to believe it or not, this is a fact. That's real science. And the reality is that they've got us to focus on the external world, which they've always done. They've made us focus externally outside of ourselves when everything and all the answers are inside. The cure is an inside job. I just wrote that article and I just put it into the pdgfree.com guide. So you might want to take a look at that and download it. The cure is an inside job. Nobody's going to cure you. The body cures itself. Now, I'm going to put on a video in a couple of minutes, And this video is going to show you one of the main things that the medical system is keeping from everyone. If I told you that 99 out of 100 people were riddled with parasites, how do you feel about that? That's one person out of 100 that has an environment inside their body that's not a manure pile, because it's manure piles that actually create parasites. Low vibrational tissues, issues in the tissues, whether it's a symptom or you call it a disease, but a disease is just a symptom that has never been looked after properly, and there are no symptoms, just love messages from your body, and you don't know how to love and care for yourself because nobody gets taught that. You're not stupid, they just stupefied you. You went all the way through high school, and you went to science class, you went to health class, and you don't even know about your own health. It was a setup, like I said yesterday. So I want you to watch this video, and then I want to say something. Most of you are going to run out and go do a parasite cleanse. Well, you probably need to. But the reality is this. The people that actually get involved with us, who create a perfect day on an emotional and physical nutritional level, and they do these gentle baby steps every day. It's not like rigorous or time consuming, but if you know what to do and it becomes part of your life and it becomes part of your subconscious program that you're not even thinking about it anymore, this is just the way you live. Because the subconscious runs your day from the moment you rise till you close your eyes. And whether you believe it or not, most people are only conscious 2% of the time. That's why they can pull our pants down and infect us. Affect us and infect us. So the reality is that it's issues in the tissues because environment is everything. You only have the disease you have, you only have the worms you have, the bad bacteria, the fungus in your body, because you have an environment between your thinking, drinking, and eating that creates that vibration to allow that infestation of these critters. And of course, they feed on you, they poop in you, they throw up in you, okay? They're the ones that actually get you to crave things that aren't good for you, and by the time it's in your mouth, right? You ever notice when most people crave things that aren't good for them? When the sun goes down. Well, guess what? That's when the vampires come out. That's when the parasites really wake up and they get hungry and they go, "Mommy, feed me." And so you go, "Hey, honey, want a glass of wine? Hey, you want to make some popcorn? Hey, you want some ice cream? You want some tacos? You want some chips?" You know what I'm talking about. So the reality is they need to be fed because they need to be bred. They need energy to breed. We have to starve them out. But more importantly than starve them out, if you raise up your vibration higher than a parasite, they won't breed in you. You'll send those critters packing. So let's just watch this video. Can we bring the video up, please? And understand something in this video, okay? This is real science. And the real science is that people, their immune systems are crashing. And when your immune system crashes, okay, this is when these things decide to take up residence. All right, let's show you the video.
Do you believe that I have a lab tech that worked in an all-women's hospital in the United States who went to school for 4 years for parasitology, so she does have an understanding of parasites and what she is looking for? The results that she was finding in these women coming in with UTIs, urinary tract infections, was showing parasitic larvae. She was putting them in her report, and the doctor of the lab was removing them from the reports. So these women with urinary tract infections was never getting properly diagnosed in the United States. See, they're not allowed to tell you if you have parasites. No, the CDC and HHS does not allow that. Because if you actually found out what ailed you, and got cured, got the proper treatment, you wouldn't need your doctor. You wouldn't need your big pharma pills anymore. She will be part of the documentary to blow the whistle on what the truth is. Parasites are very common, and most people have them. Some of the symptoms of parasites that most people don't know is gastrointestinal issues. So we're going to say things like IBS or IBD, Crohn's disease, colitis, appendicitis, cholecystitis or gallstones, kidney stones, thyroid issues, hyper and hypo, diabetes, cancer, brain fog, your heart rate fluctuations up or down or both, your teeth breaking, your bones breaking easily, blood pressure,
There it is. So what do you think? So we always will start bringing other videos in to confirm the things that I'm saying. So understand this. You can do parasite cleanses until the end of your life here. Or you can create a perfect day from the moment you rise until you close your eyes. I'll show you some products at the very end of the show, only because if you don't want to use ours, use similar. But the reality is that if you take gentle baby loving steps each and every day and you do not, create a low vibrational frequency in your tissues, you won't have these parasitical problems. Anybody that's been diagnosed with a disease, it just means you're out of ease, out of alignment. That's all. It doesn't matter where in the body, but wherever that is in the body, just know this: you have rotting tissue. And in that rotting tissue, you will have fungus, you will have bad bacteria, you will have parasites. Understand, when somebody is dealing with candidiasis, systemic candidiasis, a fungal problem throughout their body, well, you think that's not a parasite party? If one comes, they all come. Bacteria, worms, and fungus comes all together. And understand something, you can do all the fungal cleanses, all the parasite cleanses you want, but at the end of the day, it's about having a high vibrational lifestyle on what you drink, what you think, what you eat, and then the strategies that you have, even the nutritionals that you take in. The higher vibration these nutritionals are, because we are electromagnetic light energy beings. So everything that you look at in life, you want that to be filling up the battery. I already told you, okay? Whether you believe this or not, you're 1.4 volts in a healthy person in every cell. 50 trillion cells would give you 700,000 volts in the body. 700,000 volts in the body. That's a healthy person. So the more symptoms you have, the less electricity you have, the lower your vibration is, and the lower your vibration is, you will bring in lower vibrational things. Well, if you're rotting out, no better thing to have is bad bacteria and worms, and fungi coming in to eat up the tissues that are rotting in you. Cancer is not a fungal problem, but if you had enough fungus, it would definitely help to bring on that situation, because cancer is a lack of oxygen, and there's only one disease in the human body, and that's inflammation. And inflammation, whether you're talking about cancer or you're talking about any other illness, is a lack of oxygen due to inflammation. That means inflame. Inflame. A flame will eat up oxygen. So let's start. Let's go to the slide, please. All right, so the other day we talked about the highway of life. If you did not catch that show, I went from the mouth to the large intestine, and I told you the workings of going on here. But if you go to docofdetoxlibrary.com, this is where you're going to actually get the full scoop on the highway of life, your digestive tract, okay? And today we're going to be taking a look at the gut-brain connection, but for most people, it's a gut-brain disconnection. And understand something. When your bacteria get knocked down, okay, or become toxic, they give off bad vibes. They give off bad information. And that bad information gets collected in the pelvic bowl, and it actually, if you take a look here, okay, at my friend Bones here, okay, we collect all the information here, and it goes into the pelvic area. It actually goes into the coccyx area, which is known as the root chakra, and it goes into the spinal fluid, and the spinal fluid comes up to the brain and brings information to the brain about what chemicals and what hormones need to be distributed for the healing throughout the body. Isn't that cool? So the spinal fluid comes up, and then the spinal fluid brings the information down and gets distributed. Now, listen to this. I'm going to deal with this another day, okay? I do fly out on Monday. So what I would like to do tomorrow is I'll try to come on tomorrow, and I will talk about the blockages and what happens when we get scar tissue calcification in the body. So I'm going to try to do that one for you tomorrow before I take off, okay? And while my video crew is still here. So the reality is this is called the pelvic bowl, and just know that most of you are pooping in your pelvis. I said yesterday, and it was the truth, Elvis Presley was found when he passed on to have 60 pounds of fecal waste. John Wayne had 40 pounds of fecal waste. Understand something. When you do a lot of prescription drugs, when you are a heavy meat eater, when you're not getting enough fiber, when you're not getting enough fatty acids, and when you're not getting enough of the right type of protein that the body can digest. But the worst thing is when you do medication, prescription drugs, or even street drugs, okay, what will happen is you'll damage the good bacteria, but you'll also create what we call leaky gut. I'm going to go through this quickly because I went through this with you yesterday, and I just want to touch on this because it's really important. Does anybody understand why antibiotics are pushed more than anything else, second to statin drugs, which are to lower your cholesterol, which actually that's BS, bad science. There's no actual scientific proof that statins do anything healthy for the human body. They don't. By lowering your cholesterol, you're actually going to create dementia, Alzheimer's. You do know this, don't you, that 80% of your brain is made out of cholesterol, 50% of the outside of the cells is made out of cholesterol, and cholesterol, nobody dies because of a cholesterol problem. Do some research on that. Let's pull it back here though. Antibiotics, they vibrate below zero. Everything has a vibration. Essential oils are really high. Doc of Detox, nutraceuticals are all high. The highest vibration I can get in any type of nutritional supplement I've tried to find. So everything is vibrational because the higher the frequency, the higher the vibration, the more the energy you have, the healthier you are, okay, for detoxification, for assimilation, for digestion. And understand, when you've got energy, you're happy because you get to do the things you want. When you have no energy, how does that feel? It really sucks, doesn't it? And also when you have no energy, that means your immune system's coming down, and that means that, guess what? The critters move in. You know, just like in life, there are two-legged parasites. The people that fear a lot, okay, these predators can smell fear, and they will actually prey on people that are fearful. So you've got your two-legged parasites that are trying to take over the world, and then you've got your many-legged parasites that are trying to take over your internal body when you allow that vibration to come down. I know you don't believe this, but most people think that you're getting your parasites in your water. They think that you're getting your parasites actually in your food. If you look at most people that try to sell parasite cleanses. They talk about this all the time. But the fact is the majority of parasites are actually created inside the body. You did not swallow eggs. You did not swallow the parasite. The parasite was created from the invisible to the physical to actually go in there to eat up the rotting tissue. Remember, what's today called? Rotten to the core. Well, do you actually think that you can poop in your pelvis, okay, that you can have bowel problems, which 99.9% of the population has bowel problems, doesn't even know it, okay? If you get my pdgfree.com guide, just download it and go in there and take a look what a good bowel movement is. If you've got children, you should be actually teaching them, okay, the art of becoming number one at the art of number two. You need to teach them to become number one of the art of number two. Do you get that? Because every bowel movement is a computer printout. You take a look at your bowel movement every day. Okay, every day I have 2 to 3 bowel movements. Okay, I just did a blender drink, about 1 quart. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything that was in it, but prior to that I did 2 quarts of structured water this morning with black diamond Ormus minerals in. Okay, and then I'm doing now 1 quart of organic plant-based blender drink with berries. So now that's all I'll do. And then tonight I will have 1 meal. I want to be a lean, keen machine. Now for most of you, you are going to have to snack, you're going to have to eat, because guess what? When I say this, this is not being disrespectful, but you're a lower vibrational being because you don't filter. You focus on the things you don't want to become. You focus on the things you don't want to see. You focus on the things you don't want in your life. And that is the majority of the population. And whatever you focus on the most is what you become. Whatever you feed the most is what you become. I don't focus on anything that I don't want in my life. I don't talk about anything I don't want in my life. I don't talk about the things I hate. I talk about the things I love, and I focus on those things, and that's it. That's how you rock your world. Right off the bat, there's a parasite cleanse, because if you honored, loved, and respected yourself, you would have courage and faith. Because the more you do it, you'll believe in it. Now, if you have fear, doubt, and worry, I guarantee you that you're hanging on to every word of the government or the medical system or the hearsay from your neighbors and your friends. I'm not going to get into it, but this is why the majority of the population are low vibrational beings. You can't eat low vibrational foods, drink low vibrational drinks, think low vibrational, hang around with low vibrational people doing low vibrational things, and think that you're going to vibrate high enough not to be infected or affected by parasitical attack by the 2-legged ones and the many-legged ones internally. Are you getting it? It's the truth. You know, the outside world will try to threaten you because until they have you in a fear state, they can't control you. You think about that. Okay. So let's go. So yesterday we did touch on this. This looks like a healthy large intestine right here. This is only seen in 1% of the population. I guarantee you that my intestine doesn't look this good. All right? Because when I was younger, okay, and when I was around 10 years old, I had colitis. Okay? Now colitis is inflammation of the colon. And I had inflammation of the colon because I was constipated. And then what happens is believe it or not, do you know what diarrhea is from? Constipation. And do you know how many people say, oh my God, I got food poisoning last night. Well, nobody else got it. You know, there is the rare time that you're going to get food poisoning when you go out to a restaurant or where you go somewhere. But understand something, most times people when they go out to eat, they don't eat well. And also, just know this, inside it's already hell. Okay, remember something, most people don't have a flat tummy. Most people don't have tone in their core. Most people, you know, they have to grunt and groan to get their poop out. Most people can look like rabbit turds, which is impaction. Some people will come out like thin ribbons. That's because there's spasms and colitis in there. Some people will come out like a big rock because it's been sitting at the last part of the large intestine and it's so dehydrated and so compacted Okay, I'll have a bowel movement. It can be 7 inches long, and if I do this, that's what mine look like. And it'll be about 7 inches long because I do daily cleansing tea morning and night. I do black gold twice a day. I eat a whole plant-based diet. What, you don't think I'm gonna poop great? And guess what? It's a computer printout. Every day I get to see in the morning how I did yesterday. Did I drink the warm structured water throughout the day? Did I stay calm, or did I tighten up, or did I lighten up? Did I let go of things that don't serve me, or did I hang on, and am I stubborn? So the emotional affects the physical, and the physical affects the emotional. So it's welcome to a pinball game, okay? So whether you want to believe this or not, but I'm telling you that 99% of you, if you just got your large intestine working well, you would see 80 to 95% of your symptoms gone in 6 weeks. That's maximum. That's maximum if you just follow these guidelines. But no, why don't you just keep on worrying your little butt off? Just worry your butt off, and then go to somebody who says, oh, I'll keep an eye on that for you. What are they gonna do, live behind the toilet or under the bed? And what, are they gonna keep an eye on it to see if it grows big enough it needs surgery? What are we gonna do then? Or radiation or chemo, or give you stronger drugs if that doesn't work? Who cares if they're gonna keep an eye on it for you? You need to keep an eye on it, meaning that you need to unconditionally love and care for yourself from the moment you rise until you close your eyes, and do it long enough and strong enough that this becomes your perfect day in every way. My God, do you actually think that you're going to go to hell if you totally unconditionally loved yourself and let yourself off the hook for everything that the world wants you put you on the meat hook for? Not true. I'm off the hook for everything. Doesn't matter what people want to put me on the hook for. They can try to put as much guilt onto me, and I don't care who they are, whether it's a person or a system. I'm not doing it. I'm making up my own rules, and there's only one rule, and that's unconditional love for myself and everybody else. Okay, so this is a normal large intestine right here. And as I said yesterday, this is a picture of a normal large intestine, which is only found in 1% of the population. 90% of the population has an autoimmune disease today. It's actually, they estimate 92%. And they don't even have one, they might have two, they might have three. Okay, well, look at people. You know, they say that, you know, they can actually track if you're on 2 drugs, but if you're on more than 2 prescription drugs, they can't track what the symptoms should be or what's going on in the human body, because you're playing the mad scientist. I hope you know that. Okay, now, abnormal is the new normal. Tell me it isn't, okay? Tell me that the majority of the population, I'm not telling you that I look that great. I'm just trying to tell you I don't look that bad. But tell me the majority of the population has a flat tummy. Okay, so just know this, is that your nipples, okay, should be sticking out farther than your abdomen. That's the first thing, okay? So you might want to check that out. And if you're not pregnant and you look like you're 3 months pregnant, you might want to check that out. Okay, and there's people that are all the way to 9 months and they're never going to give birth. They've just had, their abdomens are sticking so out so much because they have their own, have you ever gone to the farm? Have you ever gone to the farm? Well, behind the barn, there's a manure pile. The older the manure pile, the more pungent and the more strong the bacteria are. And they're called endobacterium, and they give off this gas that will just burn your eyes. Have you ever go into a pig barn where pig manure is high in ammonia? You go in there and it can burn your eyes, okay? Or you get in there and you feel a little oozy a little bit, but guess what? Did you ever notice that after 5 to 10 minutes, even after being in a pig barn, you don't smell the ammonia anymore, your body gets used to it. You'd be surprised what your body's trying to get used to right now. So now that manure pile, if you were to go in and take a forklift and then flip some of the manure, you would see gas come off, okay? Listen, we used to have a farm when I was with my kids, and Sage was driving his little motorcycle. I think it was like a 50cc, and he was driving right up on the manure pile. And when he was driving up on the manure pile and the tires were spinning, that created heat. And guess what happened? Because of the gas that the actual bacteria were giving off, and because of the heat he created, he actually started the manure pile on fire, okay? Now, there are people out there that go look up internal combustion. There are people out there, they have so much gas that they have actually gone on fire, okay? Seriously. So here's the deal. So now you've got the manure pile, and let's just take this. I'm going to put this manure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a manure pile and dump it right in the middle of the floor here. Then I'm going to shut all the windows and all the doors, and I'm going to tape everything up. And then Juan and Carla and Rafa, we're all going to go in, and we're going to actually pick out all the mold, okay, all the bad bacteria, and we're going to pick out all the worms. Okay, if you can give those phones or turn them off or give them to Cynthia, my apologies. And we're going to go into that manure pile, and we're going to pick out all the parasites that are in that manure pile. Then we're all going to go home, and we're going to come back the next day, and guess what? Where'd they come from? Where'd they come from? Environment creates everything. You can do parasite cleanses until the cows come home, or you can change your personality. You can change your choices into higher vibrational, higher frequency, think, drink, and eat, who you hang around with, what your habits are. You don't change your personality. You'll never change reality. And remember something, the personality you have is the personality that created this so-called disease that you believe is a disease. Meanwhile, there are no diseases. Every disease started off as a symptom first. Oh, I've got this symptom. And then guess what? Because you went to the wrong practitioner that didn't want to give or wasn't taught how to give back your power. Oh, for God's sakes, who should look after your body? Who should look after your body? Who should look after this meat suit? You want to let somebody look after your meat suit, and you want to go there once a month or even once every 2 weeks, and then you're just going to go, oh my God, whew, all right, I just had all these blood tests and, you know, and urine tests and fecal test and, oh my gosh, whatever, you know, x-rays, and guess what? I'm clear. Oh my God, honey, I'm so happy for you. Yeah, until what? Until what? Until the next test? I don't need to go for a test. Nobody that gets my perfect day guide and goes in and takes massive action needs any type of test. You know you rock your world. You know it. You own it. You're in the moment, emotionally, physically. You're making conscious choices that are high vibrational, not low vibrational. Whether you believe it or not, the medical system is only responsible for 1% of healthcare, and they are actually trying to own 99 to 100%. So go ahead, use the medical system, and you'll become an emergency, because that's what they're there for, is emergency care. All right. So life and death begin in the large intestine. The good bacteria in the large intestine represent 85% of your immune system. That's real science. Okay, so let me just say this. Royal Society of Medicine, which is the medical system for Great Britain, okay? They did the biggest study on the large intestine of anybody that's ever done. Go look it up. And they said minimum, now this is a medical system, they said minimum, okay, that the large intestine is responsible for 85% of all diseases. So we already know that every symptom is just a love message that you're out of alignment. And then every symptom becomes actually a disease, because everybody you're going for doesn't know how to care for it, and they're not looking at cause. They're looking at to make you more comfortable along the way. And you will pay. You will pay with your energy, and you will pay with your money, and you will pay with the joy that you used to have and you want back. Okay? All right. So the bacteria in your large intestine are known as, and I'm having this change, they are actually, okay, the second brain. Now, understand, I believe the first brain is the large intestine, second brain is the bacteria, and the third brain is actually your brain, what we call the brain. But you know what? They're always just, you know what? We think we're on course, but they're always taking us to the wrong destination, because the brain is just a computer and a chemist. And I will give it no more credit than that. But understand, in the subconscious part of your brain, you house all your prominent dominant beliefs that actually run your day. Do you know how much energy and love and attention I put in to actually deprogramming 95% of everything I learned from the time I entered the womb until I was 7 years old. That is where 70 to 90% of your thoughts are still being run, even if you're 70 or 90 years old. And you're having the same bloody thoughts every day. That's why your life never changes. That's why you have the same argument with yourself and your loved ones. That's why nothing ever changes. The amount of money you make, the bills you have, the health you have, it will never change until your personality changes, which means you have to change your belief systems, which means you have to change the programs, which means you have to change your thoughts, which means you have to have a different image about yourself and everything else. And how are you going to do that? Well, that's what we call Whole Life Health Coach Certified. And that's what I teach. I'm going to be doing that course in Australia starting August the 7th. I think it's August the 7th. I hope it is. I'll be going through that at the end. And then I'll be doing it again in October. And then I'll be doing another one in Ixtapa at the end of January. And then I'll be doing one in Stewart, Florida in the spring. And another one I'll be doing in Canada. And it looks like we might be doing it in Calgary. Okay? The reality is this: if you don't want to brainwash yourself, okay, then somebody else is going to do it for you for the good of them, okay? Not for the good of you, all right? Okay, so don't forget, the bacteria in your large intestine are known as the second brain, and understand they will talk 9 times to your brain, where your brain will only talk not 1 time to the body, for the comparison of 9 times that they talk to the brain. So how important are our bacteria? And did anybody ever notice how there are systems out there that are after our bacteria? And understand, you're 50 trillion cells, but you're 500 trillion bacteria. So if you kill them, you just killed yourself. If you just went in and set off a bomb called antibiotics, then guess what? Then you are going to destroy the good ones. You're going to dement the good ones. Of course, you killed the bad ones. But the reality is you better make sure you're in a life-threatening situation or you'll create one. And understand that antibiotics, they vibrate way below zero. So with antibiotics comes parasitical infestation, comes disruption of the good bacteria, and comes what we call candida. But there's many different types of fungus. The yeast inside of your large intestine turns into fungus. And then guess what? Does anybody know what fungus is really for? Well, you're not supposed to be growing fungus inside your body, okay, until you are leaving the planet or you've already left the planet and now your body's decomposing. So understand, antibiotics turn on the death vibe. Did you get that? The death vibe, which awakens the fungus, these predators, that if you've ever gone into the woods, you'll see a tree that is dying or one that's fallen down, you'll see that the termites are eating holes through the tree because they're going to return the tree back to the soil. So guess what fungus is? What is candida? It's termites. And what they do is they call what we call leaky gut, but they don't cause leaky gut, they cause leaky large intestine. Now you've got a screen door, okay, in a submarine. Seriously? And what happens is you have what's called tight junctions in your small and large intestine, but mainly in your large intestine, 1 cell thick, and now those tight junctions are going to come apart, and guess what? Trap protein particles, fungus, parasites, and poo particles, bad bacteria, and eggs and worms are going to get through those tight junctions, which you call autoimmune disease because of the leaky gut. They go into your bloodstream, and now that causes the domino effect of overloading the liver, overloading the kidneys, backing up the lymph system. Okay, if you go into my library at docofdetoxlibrary.com, you'll see the domino effect of normal living. What people consider to be normal living, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. But go in and see what the domino effect of your large intestine, which you think is normal, by the way, okay? And I'm not trying to be sarcastic here. I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I'm not telling you I know better, because understand, I've done this for over 40 years. And understand this, when I was 30 years old, okay, when I was 30 years old, I actually ran the North American Institute for the Advancement of Colon Therapy. And when I was 33 years old, okay, the United States Senate had a colon cancer group that actually used my manual, my training manual, in the study of colon cancer. So understand, I've got a real long history of it. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm the best at this. I'm trying to tell you I played around with it long enough. You know, when I was just getting out of school, high school, okay, just prior to that, okay, my grandfather died or passed on. He passed on because of colon cancer, because he drank too much beer and he also ate like the average person. And understand something, I was really close to him, and I hitchhiked to Gary, Indiana, and I became a certified colon therapist, okay? So there started my journey, okay? So it was a long time ago. And understand something, even if I'm as dumb as a stump, you know, I had to have picked up something in 46 years. What do you think? Okay. Now just know this, that if you want to bring your questions up, I will be taking the questions today as well. What happens if you stop using this? Any known side effects? Candace, I don't know what that is, what this is. B, how long will C60 last after opening it if refrigerated? Oh, the C60, how long will it last? It'll last for 3 years, okay? All right, with no problem at all. Let me see what else we got. All right, just know this, everyone, that if you have questions, you can send them in, and if I don't get them, then I'll just keep rolling here. But I will watch to see what Carla sends me if you'd like to send them to me. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so right off the bat, let me just move bones. Okay, all right, so take a look here. So this is what you're going to see, if we can get a close-up, please. This is what you're going to see in the majority of the population. And this is called balloon sigmoid impaction. Now, constipation is different than impaction. Impaction means that you really can't go very well. Now, whether you want to believe this or not, I believe that 99% of the population is constipated. Constipation doesn't mean you don't go to the washroom. It just means that not everything comes out that should have came out. And even if it's just a little bit, okay, so understand, you've got a glicky sticky diet, okay, which is a processed diet, glicky sticky diet, and it's a processed food diet. It's got lots of chemicals in it, lots of things that will inflame, infect and inflame, okay? So, and you don't drink enough water. And understand, you want to try to drink about 3/4 of an ounce for every pound. You're going to go, wow, that's a lot of water. And understand something, you know that study where you have to drink 8 glasses of water a day? They made it up. There's no study behind that. Go do your homework, go challenge me. They made it up, okay? All right, 8 glasses of water, we like crazy. Look at the blue light that's around, okay? Blue light on our phones, blue light on the computer, blue light in the LED lighting, okay? Blue light everywhere, 5G, not here, not in Mexico, only 3G. And understand something, but pretty well everywhere else. And before that, we had corner stores, we had alcohol, we had all the processed foods, the drive-thrus. We had the stress when we're completely just dumping adrenaline and cortisol all day long because we're fearful it's the end of the world. You put all this together, when your food goes in here and you don't chew it and it goes down in chunks, you don't digest it all, just the outside. Okay, if you don't drink, okay, enough water, then you don't have enough lubrication in you. So the reality is that 30 to 33 foot trip that it's got to take, by the time it gets, okay, by the time it gets here, all right, right about here, I mean, it just started the trip up here. Most people will go, oh my God, I feel pain underneath my ribs here. Well, that's because the poop, she ain't moving, okay? Too much mucus, sticky glicky, okay? Because you're gonna make more mucus if you have more inflammation. So the amount of inflammation is going to tell you the amount of mucus, because I told you that inflammation causes the tight junctions to come apart, which they call leaky gut, which creates the autoimmune disease, the dumping into the bloodstream, the domino effect of overloading the liver, overloading the kidneys, overloading overloading the lymph system, okay? And eventually filling up your lungs. And just like they say, COPD, there's no such thing as COPD. Thank you very much. Okay? There's no such thing as asthma. Thank you very much. There's no such thing as allergies. Thank you very much. There's a deprived immune system with allergies. And as far as all these lung conditions, it's mainly, what is it? It's infection to inflammation to mucus production. And now you're drowning in your own pus in here. Okay? And you can reverse that by nebulizing. Trust me. Get the PDG free.com guide. It's free. All right. Where was I? Okay. So let's come back here. So most people end up with having some form of constipation, right? And it's in the sigmoid part. So here we go, everyone. So the large intestine is 5 to 7 feet long. If you go like this with your thumb and your first finger, this is what your bowel movement should look like in the way of its width, right? And round. That's the way it should look. And it should be 5 to 7 inches long if you're an adult. If you go into the PDGfree.com guide, you can see what your babies, your children's, and everybody else's bowel movement, because whether you believe it or not, it is a computer printout. It will tell you where your health is at. Okay? So when you get groaning and grunting, trying to get it out, you are pushing your diaphragm up, and that's where hiatal hernias come from. That's where the heartburn comes from. That's where the breathing problem comes from, because you actually push the diaphragm down too hard, the stomach valve comes up above it, and now you're spewing hydrochloric acid, okay, into your lungs, okay, into your trachea, okay, and that's why they call it heartburn, and it will damage the area. And understand this, if you go to a qualified Wolf non-surgical therapist, and if they have a cell-sonic, great, but if they don't, it'll still work. And you get non-surgical, we can actually reverse a hiatal hernia. And for me, I can only tell you what it'll do. I can reverse it in 10 minutes. Is that good? Seriously. They can't even do it through surgery, because anybody that gets surgery is going to have more scar tissue. Remember that surgery causes more scar tissue than anything else, because it creates so much inflammation, because they're invading and they're terrorizing all these cells, and all these cells are actually living entities. Remember, you had 50 trillion cells and 500 trillion bacteria to come together as a community to give you life. Okay? All right. So anyways, so we talked about this. This is mainly dehydration. Now remember, if you're, you know, from your mouth to your rectum, it's an assembly line. If somebody doesn't show up for work, it's going to mess up the assembly line, isn't it? Okay? If part of the assembly line gets inflamed, that's like part of the assembly line breaking down. Okay? Now understand something. None of this is ever looked at. Nobody looks at this. Whether we're talking about most natural health practitioners don't know this information. And the medical system, they're not allowed to see this information or even touch this with a 10-foot pole, because they are representatives of Big Pharma. I get it. I get it. Okay. So anyways, so you're going to be grunting and groaning. You're going to be pushing your diaphragm down. And a person like this also could have hemorrhoids. And they're going to have a lot of other problems. Remember something. If you've got stagnation of waste here, okay, watch this. You want to see something? So here we go. Cecum, ascending colon. We call this hepatic flexure. They always use Greek words because guess what? The majority of you are so stupid. No, you're not. They stupefy us. Well, why did, you know, everything is in Greek. Do you notice that? Everything's in Greek because we got to, oh, you just too stupid to learn this. You would never be able to heal yourself or to help to heal your family. Oh, well, that could never happen. So anyway, so cecum, ascending colon, hepatic flexure, transverse colon, splenic flexure, descending colon, sigmoid, rectum, anus. Okay? All right. Well, if I had a blockage right here of fecal waste, remember we talked about the manure pile rotting? So what are we going to get here? What are we going to breed here? Well, we're not just going to have infection. We're not just going to have inflammation. We're going to end up with colitis, which means inflammation of the colon. but we're also going to start getting diverticuli. We'll get into that in a second. But anything that's stagnating that long is going to create what? Worms, fungus, and bad bacteria right here. Okay, did you get that? Okay. So this here, look at how it is destroying the structure in here. So this is where they will say, oh, we have to go in and do surgery. We're going to have to cut out 6 inches here. Now, do you know this? That with warm water, structured water, warm water enemas with tummy love, okay, or black gold in it, we would go and start to do enemas here. And also, if you see a non-surgical therapist, they'll use their elbow and they'll work in here in the abdominal area, okay, and they'll actually lovingly start pulling the fibers apart because, see, the redness is inflammation. Inflammation, okay, creates scar tissue. And how do you create scar tissue from inflammation, Daryl? Well, it's the same way that you take a piece of meat and you smoke it and you make beef jerky. The heat, so the inflammation, the flame in here dehydrates the tissue, and now you've got beef jerky and you've got scar tissue in here. You're also going to have calcification deposits in here too, because the calcium comes in to try to alkaline the tissues. Okay, so guess what? Where do you think that's coming from? Get over here, Bones. All right, okay. All right, 1 second. Okay, so we know that right here we've got the block, right? We've got the block in the sigmoid, which is sitting, if you take a look, here's my rib. Here's my hip right here, hip bone. Feel your hip bone right here. Your sigmoid sits right to the side. So hip bone, here's your sigmoid right here, sitting right in the pelvic bowl. Now, if I've got a block of fecal waste sitting right here, okay, I'm not just absorbing poo particles, I'm not just absorbing parasites, fungus, and bad bacteria, but I'm also taking, okay, I'm taking calcium from my bones. Now, where would I be taking it? Oh, listen, this person's got hip problems, okay? They're actually, calcium is being stolen, okay, from the hip bone. It's being stolen from the lower part of the spine, mainly L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. And most people will end up having surgery around L3, L4, L5, and that's actually because of the dehydration, the inflammation, the scar tissue formation, and the calcification in here. This can all be reversed. It can all be reversed. Or go ahead and have surgery. You know, whether you want to believe this or not, your whole life has been about drama. And do you know how many people are drama queens and kings? Okay? How many people are just seeking attention because they're not getting the love that they deserve and want? There are so many people out there that are sick, okay? And the reason why they're sick is they're love sick. They're love sick because they don't have enough love for themselves, and everybody thinks that you're going to get married or you're going to have enough kids or you're going to have enough dogs or cats that you're going to fill up your heart and feel complete. It's up to you to do that, okay? So anyways, that mass is right here. Now, what do you think that mass is doing to the ovaries, to the uterus? We'll go through that in a little bit here. To the bladder, to the prostate. What do you think that's doing for a girl that might be fertile? She will be infertile because of the infection creating the inflammation, the scar tissue formation in the fallopian tubes, and all this can be reversed. If you can create a disease which is being out of alignment with your authentic self, when you don't know any better, just think what could happen if you knew better. Okay? So, we know that we're going to be pulling calcium from this area. So that means that we're going to have osteoporosis. So what if this person didn't know better? It's not their fault. They just don't know better. You don't know better until you know better, and that's it. But if they don't know better, and this stays like this forever, I don't want surgery. I don't want them to cut 6 inches out here. Then I'm going to have all this scar tissue in here. And they're going to even have more problems. Okay? So then you have this weakness in here, and it stays there. You know what? And even sometimes it won't bother you. And after a while, your body will shut down. You won't even have any pain there because it'll be so calcified and have so much scar tissue. But guess what? Now you don't feel this so much, and you've gotten used to being bummed out because you can't have a proper bowel movement. But now you're 40, 50, or 60 years old, and guess what? You're kind of limping. How many people do you see out there limping? Did they get in a car accident? Did they have a sports injury? No, they're pooping in their pelvis, baby. And understand something right now. That's the majority of them. And nobody's supposed to know this because that would ruin the whole game, wouldn't it? So here's the deal. So it starts off with a little limp. And then it starts off with a cane. And then guess what? I can't take the pain anymore. Well, the pain is inflammation. And the inflammation is from infection. Because of the Holy Grail, okay, has become what we call a leaky gut. But it's not leaky gut, it's leaky large intestine. Because you're absorbing that waste. And just think of that pressure that you're putting on the nerves and then on the lymph system around this area. So eventually you go there and the doctor goes, you're bone on bone. The only thing we can do is just chop that hip out and put in an implant, a robotic hip, you know? Okay, that's a titanium hip. That's all we can do. Well, really, you're not bone on bone. You've been pulling the calcium out of the bone. You still have cartilage, but the cartilage is calcified. If you actually wanted to do your homework, you could reverse this. You know, we give a money-back guarantee that the first treatment that we do on your hip or your spine or anywhere on your body, that we will prove to you that that's BS, bad science, and that the body is amazing and you are a miracle and you will heal. And when they say that we can't do anything for you or this is all we can do, they're not lying. They're just limited in their training. End of story. I'm trying to tell you right now, we need medical care because there are emergencies. But the problem is that, guess what? They should not be going near chronic health. They should not be going near anything. They should be only doing emergency care. If they're doing anything with chronic health or autoimmune diseases, you're in big trouble. Tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong. Okay? All right. So anyway, so now we've got this here, so we know, oh my gosh. Okay, take a look, guys. Okay, I'm going to take my hand and watch this, watch this. I'm going to take where the sigmoid is. Here we go. Going to come around. Oh my gosh, what's here, everybody? My kidney. I know there's something wrong with my kidneys. I know that there's something wrong. Did you know that you can actually, right underneath the rib, and when you're backed up, you can actually push and you can feel the poop that's backed up there and put like almost like a finger dent in? That's what you can do on your left side. Okay? And the reality is as instead of doing drastic, okay, life-threatening things, why don't we just do daily cleansing tea morning and night? Why don't we just do 2 blender drinks and add in a teaspoon of black gold twice a day? Oh, what, really? What's that going to cost you? What's that going to cost you? And then let's do a quart of warm to hot structured water with Ormus minerals and black diamond in every morning. And then we'll do a blender drink, okay? And then we'll do a large salad. And then maybe we'll go into the Perfect Day Guide and look at the 4 pillars of the perfect day. And then do that first. If you're not in a life-threatening situation, why are you jumping into one? Why are you jumping into one? Please, don't be a robot, okay? Use your logic. For your sake, not for mine. Be a good representation for your children, for your family, for your friends. They might buck you when you start doing these things. What'd you do, join a cult? Probably. Okay, so anyways, we talked about that. Now let's talk about this. Well, these are called diverticuli. So, oh my God, what? I just went to the doctor and he said I have diverticulosis. What's that? I don't know. It's where the bowel starts to have these pockets pop out. I don't know what to do. Well, what did they say? Well, they said that I'm probably going to need surgery or I'm going to have to, but I'm going to go in and get a barium x-ray, okay? And understand something. Just so you know, I'm not going to get into it too much, but 50 years ago, they were told to stop doing barium X-rays because the negative side effects to the barium X-rays outweighed the positive. Seriously, ask anybody who gets barium X-rays, ask them how they're doing. Ask them how they're doing. Okay, all right. Thank you, Juan. We're going to keep going until we finish, right? We don't have any more shows for a while here today? With who? With, huh? In what, 25 minutes? Well, then we're going to have to finish this tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow I'll have to try to see if I can finish this. So we have how long now?
1 hour.
Oh, we still have 1 hour left? Oh, we're fine. I'll finish this in another hour. Okay, all right. I just want to go by that, okay? Thank you. Okay, where was I? Okay, so anyways, they're going to tell you have diverticulosis. Well, these are called diverticulum. And when these are inflamed, you have diverticulitis. Now, here's the big thing you don't know. 60% of the population over the age of 40 have diverticuli. They have diverticulosis. And they won't know that they have diverticulosis until they have diverticulitis, because itis means inflammation, osis means condition. And all this is constipation. And what happens is, these are called hostries. You see these little bumps here? These are muscles, okay? You know, muscles. You know, they're toned muscles. And guess what? People that don't eat right, think right, drink right, live right, those muscles leave. And then the bowel becomes in a coma. That's right, because it doesn't even have the energy to contract like a snake all the way around to move the stool out and out through the body and into the toilet. So whether you believe this or not, but right now, just so you know, I'm just saying it, this isn't a pitch, $95 will get you a consultation with us, and you'll have lifetime telephone support for $95. How much money do you think is left over for my company after I pay the practitioner? And these are practitioners that are master practitioners, okay? All right, so consider that, all right? And guess what? I don't know how much pain and suffering you need to go through before you're worth $95. When this sale's over, then it'll go back to the 150, and at 150 with lifetime support, that's not so bad. We will do an hour consult. You will be sent the audio, and then you can call as much as you want. And if you can't get them, you can call me at 469-861-8884, and I'll answer your questions. Just say, hi, Daryl. That's it. That's all you got to do, and I'll answer it. And even if you don't get a consult and you've got a question, feel free to call. Okay? And you can call me on WhatsApp, or you can call me on the 800 number at extension 5. But just know that that number I gave you is a USA direct number. So if you've got USA calling, it's not long distance, no matter where I am in the world. All right. And I will be in Australia, so if you do call me, just be patient. I will call you back, okay? Because that's when we're flipped upside down or something like that. Okay? So anyways, you can get rid of these. So now if you go on a perfect day protocol, which you'll find in the pdgfree.com guide, and you will, within days to just weeks, all of these diverticuli will pop out, and you'll see them in the toilet, and all of this will heal. It's that simple. Or you can go in and you can do drugs, or you can do surgery, or you can freak out, whatever way you want to play it, okay? So that's what we call diverticuli. These are out pockets from fecal rot, rotten to the core, okay? And that's from the glicky sticky diet, the dehydration, and the not letting go on an emotional and physical level. Because the best place to hide things that you don't want to deal with in your life is in a manure pile, isn't it? Remember something, issues in your tissues starts off in the psychological before it ever goes to the biological. There you go, there's diverticuli, okay? Next thing, spasm. So just understand this. When we've got spasm, that will also be called colitis, okay? All right? So somebody may call this colitis, but spasm is where it becomes red. Now, do you remember when you have a spasm in your leg, and you contract, or in your feet and it spasms and your feet hurt, okay, well that is lack of oxygen. Okay, and that can be also lack of calcium, magnesium, but mainly oxygen getting to the area. And understand something. All we have to do, no matter where it is in the body, is use Wolf non-surgical, which is an elbow technique, and go in and actually melt the crystallization, pull the scar tissue apart, okay, and loosen up the calcification. And then if you understand what calcium ion therapy is, if you go to my docofdetoxlibrary.com, calcium ion therapy like Merigen or Cardigen or Alzagen or Dentagen, these are different for different things in the body. That will actually take the calcium that's displaced in your body and bring it right back into where the bones it came from or the teeth it came from. And that's the truth. It's the only calcium product in the world, okay, that really works. And that's why the FDA will not let us put these products online that you can purchase them. You actually have to call in. They can't make us not sell them because they're totally non-toxic and they work better than any other calcium product in the world. Okay, so we would call this, you can call this a spasm or colitis. And see, all this is where this has been inflamed for so long, this has shrunken down and dehydrated that now it's just one string of beef jerky. Now, whether you believe it or not, they would tell somebody that this needs to have surgery. And I'm going to tell you, with doing non-surgical and the perfect day diet, and if the person has a Celsonic, we're going to turn that around. And also, never forget, go check out the Ultimate Coffee Enema, because not only do we want to purge the colon, but we want to detoxify the liver. And understand this, everybody. Nothing cleanses the liver unless you do an Ultimate Coffee Enema. I don't care how much it cost you, what they gave you, whether it was a liquid, whether it was a herb, and you took it by your mouth, it's not going to cleanse your liver. What cleans your liver is called the Ultimate Coffee Enema. Check it out in the pdgfree.com guide. Okay? All right. So anyways, like I said, this chronic inflammation and scar tissue of the colon lining. Okay, so it's now all, I try to see how well you're going to poop through this. Man, you've got trouble. And understand something, you cannot get blocked up. If you can't, okay, take a look at anybody in your life that you love and care for. And you're going to see that the sicker they are, the more trouble they have peeing and pooing. Or they're pooing themselves and peeing all the time, and they have no control. So first of all, we can't do it very well, and then eventually we can have no control. How many people know that 49% of all women are dripping urine into their panties, okay, throughout the day? And the reason why they're doing it is because of pooping in their pelvis, okay, and then the infection actually getting into the actual bladder. Okay, and then the valve that goes from the kidneys to the bladder gets calcified. And then when it gets calcified, it can't shut, calcified or scar tissue or both. It can't shut all the way. So drippity, 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 drip. And then the person that cannot hold very much urine in their bladder, they have absorbed so much infection from the large intestine into their bloodstream that the liver can't handle anymore, that now goes through the kidneys, that then sits in the kidneys at the bottom like a sac, because it is a sac. And infection creates inflammation and scar tissue formation, and then it shrinks it down like a beef jerky bag, so you're not able to hold enough urine. So understand something. I've already done 3 quarts today between my blender drink and my 2 quarts of warm structured water with Ormus minerals and black diamond. And when I go pee, I pee 16 to 20 ounces at a time. I don't pee 2 or 3 ounces. Okay, it comes out with a beautiful flow. I'll be 67 in just another month. And the reality is when I'm 97, it'll be a beautiful flow. And that's how it is. Every disease is an inflammation problem. And there is no diseases. It's inflammation created from infection, and that's created by disinformation. That's the first true disease on this planet. Okay, so now where are we here? So we talked about the spasm. Now we'll talk about chronic colitis. Now you see where we have we have colitis so bad here. Look at this. We got diverticuli hanging on the sides. Okay, and then we've got colitis right here, spasm, and then we've got an impaction behind it because you can't get the poo through anymore. Oh my gosh. You know what? All of this could be turned around. And you know what? I don't care if you go to the doctor once a week, once a month, once a day, and you're never going to get any of these answers. You're not going to get these answers. That's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. You're not going to get them. And again, we're back at doing, well, you got to get a consult. I mean, I would be here all day, but if I did it, you know what you need to do? If I'm coming to your neighborhood or coming somewhere, or if you want, just check my schedule on braveheartnation.com. I do a day with the doc in Australia. I'm doing 2 of them. I think one is in Melbourne, and the other one is in Byron Bay, and it's a day with the doc, and I'll be going through this. All right? Okay. Not all of it, but you'll get a lot. But you know what? If you jump into my Doc of Detox library, I have 22 master classes in there, and they're all free. I have a master class in there called Braveheart Online Emotional Intelligence course. It'll take you 33 days. There's Q&As to do after every act. And understand something. Wait till you see how you act after you go through this course. Go find your authentic self. Okay? All right. So anyways, we talked about colitis. Now we'll talk about stricture. And here's where the stricture is. So now what we've got is we've got a bowel block. We've got what we would call a stricture, another bowel block, and another stricture. And now we're going to start to fill up waste here. Do you see how things get worse? Not because you're dumb, because we've been dumbed down, and they never told us how to actually look after our own health. Isn't that something? Okay, so now if that continues, okay, that poisoning continues. Okay, so take a look at people around the age of 50, 60, 70. Do they have this tire thing right here? You'll see it. You know, it's not here. It's by the belly button or underneath the belly button. How many of you know that's that transverse colon? Look at this, guys. That's the transverse colon. Remember where it was? It was up here. Remember what I said? You're falling down and out? Well, my energy levels are down and out. I told you that the core holds 85% of your immune system and your energy. When it falls down 85% of your energy, kiss it off. Just think about when you're eating food now and you're older and you're trying to get this through here. Everybody, look at your metabolism never slows down the whole time you're alive, whatever age you live to. The only thing that slows down is the actual flow because of blockages. Could be fecal blockage, could be calcium blockage, a scar tissue blockage. All right, we saw that right from a fibroid to a tumor. Okay, or displaced calcium, which you're going to get calcium deposits in your kidneys. When you're highly inflamed and your kidneys are inflamed, you're going to get calcium deposits because the calcium is coming in there to stop kidney disease. Oh yeah, you didn't know that, did you? It's a precancer state, which means you're headed to stage 4 inflammation. And when you've got stage 4 inflammation dealing with your liver, you're going to have gallstones in your gallbladder. And that's because the calcium is being sent to actually the liver to try to buffer down the inflamed liver. Okay, did you get that? Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we talked about stricture. This is called second degree prolapsus. And understand something. When this falls down, oh my God, what a lovely case this is. So now the transverse colon, which is the bridge underneath your ribs, is falling down. Look at what happened. You see when your large intestine is the way it should be up here, underneath the ribs? It actually holds your stomach up so that your stomach is kind of on a slant. So when the hydrochloric acid comes in, you've got your food filling up here, and the hydrochloric acid and the pepsin mix with the food to break it down. But if the transverse colon falls down, which is, how about this? 85% to 90% of everybody that's at the age of 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Are you with me or not? And it doesn't have to fall down and out. It can fall down and in. Okay? All right. Listen, either you're going to keep your muscle tone, you're going to keep your muscle tone throughout your life, or you're not. And I told you already that an hour of exercise every day is going to give you three hours of extended life. Get it moving, or you'll be losing. Okay? All right. So now you see this. Look at this. Transverse colon falls down. Stomach falls down. So now the hydrochloric acid is only in the bottom here. It's not taking up at least half the stomach. It's only in the bottom. So a lot of your food is never going to get hydrochloric acid or pepsin in it, and it's just going to be rotting. And then you wonder why you have a bacterial problem, why you have an ulcer, and what you don't realize, and it's not your fault, what you don't realize is that the stomach was the guard dog for the rest of the body, because we needed a good, powerful hydrochloric acid in the stomach, because any parasite, any bad bacteria, any fungus, the hydrochloric acid will neutralize it in a healthy person. In an unhealthy person, it won't neutralize it, and if it gets past the stomach, which is the guard dog, the gatekeeper, and it gets into the small intestine, all hell's going to break loose. All health is going to break loose. But the problem is take a look here, guys. If we get that prolapse, okay, and it falls down, what's happening to the female organs, okay? Well, that uterus, the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, okay? You know, you've got the, you're pushing down on the small intestine, and you're pushing down the transverse colon of the large intestine is pushing down on the small intestine, which is pushing down on all these vital organs. Okay? Hey, have you ever been on the bottom of a pylon? Remember when we were kids? Well, there's a pylon right there, and that's a pile. That's a big pile. That's a BS pile. Okay? And it's going to cause you problems. Okay. But hold on. Hold on. Third degree prolapses, pelvic rot. We call this Death Valley. I need you to bear with me. Come along with me. Okay. First of all, things are going to come from the small intestine, which is about 22 feet in an adult, come to the cecum. When it comes into the cecum, okay, believe it or not, the appendix, they just cut the appendix out. When I was younger, they were getting rid of appendix left, right, and center, and gallbladders. I'm going to tell you a story here about the gallbladder, and then I'll get back to the appendix. You know, when I used to run a colon therapy center and school, one of the surgeons from the Toronto hospital used to come in, and all he used to do is he would do gallbladder operations. And he said, Daryl, you have no idea how many people come in and they have gallbladder attacks. And you know why he came to get colonics? Because what? Well, I could probably do it. Okay, so you may not realize this, but a lot of people have gallbladder attacks. It's only because the gas from the waste in the cecum rises and puts pressure on what we call the hepatic flexure, and then they think they have a gallbladder problem. He goes, we have to save all the gallstones because sometimes we'll do a gallbladder operation. There's no gallstones, and people will ask for their gallstones, so we have to give them someone else's, just for you to think about. Okay, so whether you're talking about kidney stones or gallstones, remember something. It's stage 3 inflammation, heading to stage 4. Now, so now look at this. This is called Death Valley. So look at this. This is hanging down and out, or down and in. And that person is in big trouble. They don't play sports no more. They don't have energy anymore. They have no virility anymore. Okay? They're numbed out. I mean, they're leaving. And understand something, that is just totally normal today. Okay? Do you think I act like a 67-year-old? Maybe you do. Maybe you think I look like one too, but I don't feel like one. Okay? All right. So let's keep moving on here. So what do you think the low back pain is going to be like when the transverse colon starts to fall? That's just the major part of the population, the transverse colon falling. What do you think the low back pain's like? How many times do you think you need to go to a chiropractor to get an adjustment? And how many times do people go, once a week, once every 2 weeks for years, and it was a scar tissue issue. The inflammation created the scar tissue and the calcium problem. I'm not telling you not to go to the chiropractor, but until you turn the scar tissue back into beautiful connective tissue and return the calcium back into the bone and stop and put out that fire and stop creating it. But you don't know better, and I get it. You don't know better until you know better. So we get polyps, everyone. And polyps are internal warts in the large intestine. They'll go in and cut them. And when they do that, they'll create more infection, more inflammation, more scar tissue formation. Whether you believe it or not, a polyp, which could be precancerous, but most of them are benign. And the reality is, unless you're in a life-threatening situation, why don't you just come to us for a consultation and we can prove that you can get rid of this in a few weeks, that polyp, okay? And then a fissure is a crack in your rectum from chemicals dripping, and that's because of the stagnation. You felt like there could be more that could come out, and it just sticks there. And guess what? It just keeps dripping this putrefactive bacterial acid called ammonia, and then you get a crack. It's called a fissure. This is all reversible. Or eventually that crack becomes a fistula where the bacteria and the ammonia actually eat a hole through here, and then you're pooping into your vagina, or the hole goes into the small intestine, or you get actually a pustule boil coming out here because it's actually eaten through your tissue, and you'll get a hole here, and it'll smell like fecal waste. You know how many women come to us and go, I wipe my vagina and it smells like poo, and they don't realize that they're pooping into their vagina due to that problem being called fistula. Internal hemorrhoids, the tissue's getting weak, trying to push down all the time, or you're just overweight, which means you're overtoxic because you had to create fat cells to store the infection and the inflammation. That's why we create fat cells. Fat cells are saving your life. People are fat today and obese today because they're eating so much infectious, poisonous foods. Their mind is stinking thinking, and their diet is based on malnutrition and poisons. And guess what? This could be people that were sexually abused, physically abused. But understand something. Why do people have such low self-esteem, low value for themselves? Because we're programmed that way as soon as we get here. Show love and respect to every human being on this planet. Every human being on this planet, okay, was set up to be upset. Let's work together as a family. Okay, so internal hemorrhoids, external hemorrhoids, grunting, groaning all the time, trying to get it out, not letting go of things emotionally. Everything, issues in the tissues, is from issues in the mind first and foremost, because for most people they have a landmine because they don't realize they have to become the captain of the subconscious. They've got to go in and reprogram everything. That subconscious is only a computer playing programs, and most of them are BS, okay? Bad belief systems, okay? All right, so we talked about what's going to happen when we have this transverse colon falling down. With a man, it's the same thing. Prostate problems. We already know that in the last 5 years, prostate problems have went up 40%. They said by 2030, they'll go up another 400%. Just so you know, colon cancer is the fastest growing cancer in North America. People are rotting out. Take a look at the shape of their body and understand something, okay? You know, when I was younger and I used to see people overweight and I'd go, wow, they're so stupid. How brainwashed was I? They're not stupid. They're not informed. And understand, this platform here called Braveheart Nation, and my library called docofdetoxlibrary.com, my guide, pdgfree.com. This is because guess what? It's not fair. People have been mistreated, and it's not fair. And I want you to be very patient with yourself and be patient with others, but be very disciplined with yourself and understand something. We're all addicts, and they want us to be addicted to negative emotions and negative foods and negative habits. And they're not going to do it. Not on my watch, they're not going to do it. Tomorrow I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about the human body, and all we're going to do is we're going to take a journey with bones, and we're going to tell you about what happens when the domino effect, the first domino falls, which is the large intestine, which is the holy grail of everything. I want to thank you for joining me. And just know this, Go to my library, Doc of Detox Library, if you want to have the most important training you'll ever get. I don't care if you're a medical doctor or a naturopath. In my library, okay, is more truthful information than is out there. If anybody goes and gets my perfect day guide, okay, you become your own practitioner. You become your own doctor, and you become your own lover. 3, 2, 1. Together we're stronger.